Well, I added YouTube, and I'm not sure if that's working or
Oh,
not. Let me refresh YouTube now. Ah, we're live on YouTube. Yay!
hey,
That's a
all
first.
right.
I wasn't sure if that was going to work. I have no idea how to get to the channel, but
But
it's,
still, we're
it's
live on YouTube.
yeah. Hello, YouTube. I had no idea.
Hey,
All
One
right.
minute
Oh, just in
until
time.
showtime.
Oh, I have to load.
anybody bump into us while they're
Yeah.
perusing through YouTube? Hi, you're
Yeah.
welcome to All About Wine.
Okay. It's a HP something something something. Just send it to me.
Yeah.
Just send it to me after the show or something, and I'll look it up.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to download, the driver or at least get some kind of utility that can look into it and make sure that it's functioning right. And then if you could do that, you can see what the connection is like to your computer. And
But yeah, it's connecting though. Everything's connecting.
yeah,
Everything's going through. It's
there has
sending it over to the computer,
yeah.
and it starts printing and beep 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 beep, and as the paper's coming out, it's blank, just like they're not printing.
Interesting. Yeah, that's.
How?
I would start with the driver and make sure that's up to date from their website.
Your show will go live in
Oh.
5 seconds.
Well, no, we're talking.
4,
Okay.
3,
That's too soon.
2,
2,
1.
1.
Blog Talk Radio.
Blog Talk Radio.
Here we go. Wow.
This is All About Wine, the talk show dedicated to the wine industry since 2009, featuring winemaker, cellar master, vineyardist, and tasting expert Ron.
Basically, what we're trying to do on this program is just trying to educate people and trying to make wine less confusing and more friendly.
From coast to coast and around the world.
We really have had some neat people on the program. I love that.
Post your questions and comments during the live show on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/allaboutwinebtr. Again, that's www.facebook.com/allaboutwinebtr.
All About Wine.
And now, All About Wine is on. Here's Ron.
There he is. The one and only.
Right. On for another week.
Yeah. There he is. The legend.
Thank you, bus people.
I got to clear that out. Okay. Yeah, welcome to the show. It's Thursday,
Yeah.
something, I don't even know, 20th? 20th of May,
20th.
7:01 p.m.
Yeah.
Eastern Time. Yes, we are live. And,
Eastern Daylight Time.
yep. Welcome
Yeah.
Facebook and welcome
my-
YouTube. Mhm. Go ahead.
And YouTube. You said you got us hooked up to YouTube now. So,
Yeah. See
you
how
know,
that works.
you all can listen to us on YouTube. Not watch us. We do not want ourselves watched.
No.
We just
You'll see the
want you to
slideshow.
listen to us.
Yeah. Well, there is a slideshow going.
Yeah.
That part that is going.
Yeah.
It's video.
Yeah, that's one thing that you can do. But it's not like us live sitting here
No,
chatting. you
no,
know.
there's no way that's going to happen.
No way that's going to happen. In fact, Cap,
Mm-hmm.
we had him on
Yep.
a couple months ago now, and we were doing just video in the group that he's in, and then last week my phone rings and he calls me up and he found a way to call up everybody on the phone, and we all are there live with our faces and everything else. And I said, "Are we doing a show?" And he goes, "No, this is just an experiment. This is just a talk tonight. We'll see." And then last night I was out playing golf. I got back and I looked at my phone, and he had called to hook us up again for a show. And I'm going, "Oh my gosh!" I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I don't know if that might be scary for all the people out there. But yeah.
You did it. You did it at the winery all this time. I mean, this can't be any different. Well,
Yeah.
with some restrictions.
Oh,
but
that's yeah. It's
It's different.
Oh well.
yeah,
but-
it's different.
The winery I'm prepared for. Like when he first called, I
That's
just
true.
got back from playing golf, and
Yeah.
it was so. But
All
no, you can go to YouTube and watch a little slideshow as it goes through, but not us.
Yeah. Right.
We're not going to. Yeah.
Have fun with the slideshow.
So
that's right.
Yeah, we have a guest tonight, Gracie Peter, who is general manager of Luvino. It's a wine-inspired restaurant in Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. I guess branches around there. And she's also a level 2 certified sommelier. And she just recently started her own podcast, so we'll talk to her about that. And it looks like she just called in. Good for you, Gracie. With no further ado, as they say, let's bring Gracie onto the show.
Yay.
Hello, Gracie. Welcome to All About Wine. I think this thing said, okay, there we go.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello. Welcome to All About Wine. Glad you can join us.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure, believe me. So, I was just introducing you before we actually brought you on. You probably heard me.
Yes, a little bit.
Luvino. Luvino, restaurant that is different locations, Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. Is that correct?
That is correct. We started in Kentucky in a town called Louisville, which is where the Lou from Luvino comes from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Lou is Louisville, Vino, wine, Luvino.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask where you got that name, but that just sort of, slid right in there. That was perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So Luvino, are you instrumental in starting Luvino, or did you join the cast and crew after it had been started?
So I joined after the first store started. I was a part of the opening team for the second store. The second location, our first location was in Louisville, of course. Our second location was in another part of Louisville, and that's where I came on, and that was in 2016. So my store's been open almost 5 years, yes.
Wow. And you made it through the pandemic shutdowns and everything okay, it sounds like. So that's good,
yes.
yeah.
We shut down for a little bit. It's been a tough year and a half, but we are busier than ever now, so we are very happy to see that.
Fantastic. Well, that's great because there's so many places that did not make it, so it's good to hear that.
Yes.
You did.
Thank you.
You have 2 locations in Louisville, and you have where in those places?
Yeah, so our third location, we opened only 6 months after the second location, and that is in Fishers, Indiana. So it's a little suburb outside of Indianapolis. Luvino 4 is in Cincinnati, so it's in downtown Cincinnati in a place called Over the Rhine. That was the 4th, and then the latest and greatest is Luvino 5, which is on Mass Avenue in downtown Indianapolis. So we've got the 5 total, and they all opened in a short period of time. It's quite impressive what the ownership was able to pull off.
It sounds like it, and the timing right before COVID was not a good thing, but I'm glad you made it through it. So.
Yeah, we're all open. We're all operating. Some stores are having a harder time coming back, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We're all very excited for summer. We're seeing restrictions lifted and capacity opening up, and it's starting to feel a little bit normal again, which is nice. The new normal, I guess.
Yeah, the new normal. I was just thinking about the new normal today. I mean, we can look at the old normal as hardly any delivery of anything, and all these other businesses and all that never really existed until COVID. Now somebody can call you up and say, prepare a meal. I've got a driver coming by and picking it up in, a half hour. And we're doing stuff like that now.
We are, and we have actually been doing that as well. So we shut down, and each state was a little bit different, but we shut down for at least 4 or 5 weeks, and then we decided to try the carry-out thing, and it was crazy. It's crazy that we just had to, our entire business model was flipped upside down, and we had to figure out this new way to serve people, and to go back, putting everything in carry-out containers, and that carry-out business has sustained itself. It slowed down a little bit recently, but people are really enjoying it, and I think it's going to be a thing that sticks around.
And that's just it. That's when we say new normal. that's something that came from the COVID that I don't think is
Oh,
going to
yeah.
go away in any business.
I don't either.
Just and especially things like remote tastings and stuff like that has
Yes.
started during the COVID. That's going to continue,
Yeah.
I think. That's,
virtual wine classes have been a thing we've tried.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is so interesting and something we may have never thought about before. Now it's fun to have so much more opportunity.
And we got sort of shoved into it, and we're going, well, wait a minute, this isn't too bad after all. This is a good way to contact me in touch. So, Luvino, what is the theme, the concept of the restaurant?
Yeah, so the concept, it started as a really small little wine bar. It's evolved throughout the years. Our first location is our smallest location in a really cool, eclectic town in Louisville, in the Highlands on Bardstown Road. And it started out as just trying to be a wine bar. And I think it blew up. It went crazy in the beginning, but everyone wanted food. So they incorporated more full-service restaurant, added an entire small plates menu, and it kept being a craze, and people really responded well to it. So with the success of that, and a full-service restaurant with a huge wine program, we do over 60 wines by the glass. We use wine stations that preserve the wine using argon-controlled machinery, and we serve Southern-style food. And it's very cool because each location has a different executive chef. So half of our menu stays the same year round, and the other half, each chef per location gets to play around with seasonal items, local items, that kind of stuff. So we change up half our menu 3 or 4 times a year, which keeps things really fresh and fun and keeps people looking forward to coming back and visiting us. And it's interesting, through COVID, of course, we've been small plates for so long, and we always encourage, sharing plates and trying all kinds of things. But when we reopened for dine-in with after the pandemic hit, we were like, well, maybe we can't encourage sharing plates anymore. So we even had to, revamp our menu a little bit. So we're more, regular entree style with still some small plate aspects to us. But baseline is we're Southern-inspired dishes with an eclectic chef-driven twist, a large wine program, 60 wines by the glass, and we keep our beers local, and we have craft cocktails and a great ambiance. It's a great little spot.
You mentioned Southern style. Okay, now Mike and I are located in Florida here, and Southern style. I think Southern style is fried chicken and maybe some fish, and and I'm thinking, okay, wine with these. It seems to me like your job is really something, because you're going to have to find a match with these Southern style foods, which really don't lend themselves to wine, I would think.
It is so true. Yeah, you think when you're pairing wine, it's all French food, Italian food, some Spanish cuisine, but yeah, the Southern-inspired cuisine was really not meant for wine. It's more, bourbon and wheat beer, which we do carry. And that's the special thing about us, is that we do have wines that, I think there's a wine for everything and a wine for every person. So it's really up to our service staff, and of course, as my job to create a list and recommend wines that pair well. One of our most popular items is fried chicken tacos. We put fried chicken and mashed potatoes and gravy in a taco, and it's
my God,
fantastic. But it's fun because you can play around with. Yes, it's something we've never thought of. It's on all of our menus, but it's fun because you can pair sparkling wine or rosé, and it goes really well together.
I can see it where it would. Yeah. Oh boy. Actually, that sounds good if you think about it.
I know, right?
It really does. Your wine list. Are you? Do you lean toward any country, any style, anything? It would seem to me like, being in the Midwest, there, you could draw from a lot of local wineries. I mean, there's wineries all over that area there.
There are, and it's surprising. They're a little hard to get. So we really do focus a lot on California. Yeah. We like to have, the state, keep things. I would say most of our list is New World. A lot of it is California. But that's just what the people want. We don't really have a lot of calls for local wine, just because we're so used to drinking California wine or French wine, whatever. But we try to have a little something for every country, every popular region. And what's great about our wine list is we do wine flights. So we have pre-selected wine flights where you can sample 3 different wines, and they're categorized in a theme. So we have our sparkling wine flight, we have our rosé flight, we have a Pinot Noir flight, and each wine in that flight is going to be a different style, a different region, different producer. So it's really fun. It's fun to play around with, for sure.
No, it definitely sounds like it with the different flights. It gives people a chance to try different ones without having to buy the bottle or even a glass of each one, because then they can take a sip of it and go, "Ooh, I hate this, but I still got to drink this glass."
Exactly. Or they can all share a flight, and whoever doesn't like that one, or someone will drink it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to do that. Good way to start introducing people to different types of wine too, because that's
exactly.
And like you say, and I understand people drink California wines and all that, but people tend to get stuck. And
I agree.
If you different flights and all that might get them out of their ruts. I always order Merlot, or I always order, rosé or whatever. And
absolutely,
it's so hard to get people out of those ruts when it comes to wine and start trying something and enjoying something new. And the flights are a good way to do it. I would just,
I agree.
Kentucky, Ohio. I've been to wineries in those states. Actually, been quite a few wineries in Kentucky and Ohio and around, and visited some around Indianapolis. And there's some great wines around there. It would seem to me like you would start promoting and trying to push those a little bit more.
We should. We do a special wine flight of the month every month, and that's something we've always talked about. We just haven't pulled the trigger yet. So it's definitely something we've talked about as a company. It's just hard to get it everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I never forget. I start visiting wines in Kentucky, and you walk into the door of a Kentucky winery, and all of them basically the same greeting. "Hi, welcome to such and such a winery. We used to be a tobacco grower," and it seems to be the opening line to
how funny.
We used to be a tobacco grower, and now we're a winery.
What a perfect transition, right?
Yeah, it is. It's every so often I heard that when I was up there. The restaurant sounds exciting. So your restaurant, you say, the one that from the beginning you've been working on, that is larger obviously than the first one. They decided to approach it just as a food place, not just a wine bar.
Yes, they did. So we're in a more suburban neighborhood, so a little more residential. Our first location is a little bit more on a touristy end, but it's also in the Mecca for food and dining. So we get more, I would say our weekday business is more consistent just because we have all the surrounding homes. And we also have a very large patio that we just expanded. So dining outdoors is one of the big draws for our location. We also have some private event spaces that we get to host parties in. And it's, they definitely had a bigger idea in mind with the next few locations for sure.
Oh, very good. You are a level 2 certified sommelier. Now, explain what a level 2 sommelier is, as opposed to a level 1 or level 3 or a green level or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so obviously the certificate is a little. I'll try to explain it as best I can. So the certification I went through was through the Court of Master Sommeliers, and there's 4 levels, level 1 to level 4, level 4 being Master Sommelier, which is the most prestigious award you can achieve. And obviously you have to begin at level 1, and it's just a written exam after you take a 2-day course that's taught by a handful of master sommeliers. So it's a very, very, very cool experience. You just have to go in with some knowledge for sure. Once you pass that written exam, you then are eligible to participate in the level 2 exam, which incorporates another written exam that's much more difficult, and then a tasting portion, a blind tasting portion, and a service portion. So the Court of Master Sommeliers is geared towards restaurant professionals because they incorporate the service aspect, whereas there's other certifications you can achieve that are just theory, which is the written portion, or tasting as well. So it's a lot of self-study. There's no class, there's no course, there's a recommended reading. They encourage you to join a tasting group to get your blind tasting skills down, and then work in a restaurant or some sort of service industry job where you're serving people and serving wine. And once you reach level 2, you are a certified sommelier that does not expire, and then that, again, you are then eligible to achieve the level 3, which is advanced sommelier. So it goes level 1, level 2 is certified, level 3 is advanced, and level 4 is master. And that is quite a jump. So I believe the largest jump is between 2 and 3, where it gets much, much more difficult.
We have had guests on who were level 3, and they have told us what it involves, and it's like, oh my gosh! I mean,
it is. It's a lot.
It's just crazy what you have to do to get to that level. I mean, it's one person said something about having to know how to serve, and if you do something wrong while you're serving, you can lose, you can fail that particular certification and reapply. What, 6 months you have to wait, or a year before you can reapply
something
again,
like
and
that.
all that.
It's
just
intense.
Very intense, and I mean, just to get to level 2, it's like, congratulations, it's a big step there, and to go on from there, it's just a lot of work. I test
I always
terribly.
Have people ask. Yeah, I always have people ask if I'm going to keep going. I'm just not sure yet.
Yeah,
it's a lot
I
of time and effort to put in.
And it is, and you have to weigh the fact that, okay, I'm a level 2. What's it going to do for me if I become a level 3? And is it going to be worth all that work and effort and knowledge and everything? And you probably get a lot of the knowledge already, but testing in it, all that is, and I'm a terrible tester. I've never tried to do all those because I test horribly. I've always been that way my whole life, and so I've never attempted to try.
I do see that as one of the disadvantages of the certifications, because it's what drew me, because I am a great test taker and I always have been, but I see how if you're not, it's a little bit unfair, because it's, especially the written portion, it is some of the way they word the questions make it very difficult. It's very standard textbook test.
And that's and I've always whenever it comes to testing and everything, I've always been very poor. I passed the test, but not like, oh, look at me. I mean, it's like, whew, I made it past that one. And that's how I've always been. So some of those the sommelier certifications are ones I've never attempted, because I know I'll get so frustrated. I would. So
it's not worth
good.
it.
No, it isn't. It's not worth the certification. I mean, I have the knowledge. It would be nice to be able to have a certification and say, hey, look, this proves I have the knowledge. But still, it's nice. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very
much. You just recently started a new venture on your own. Let's talk about that for a while. You have a podcast now.
Yes. Me and my friend Elena, who's my pod mate, we started a podcast called Better with Wine, and very similar to All About Wine. So it's fun to hear about yours. And we are very green. We were like, yeah, sure. During COVID, we were like, we got to do something with our free time. And, said, well, why not try to start a podcast? And I got to say, it's a lot easier said than done. The fact that you've been doing it for so long and on a consistent weekly basis is very impressive.
Well, thank you. We started in 2000. Podmate, you hear that, Mike? I've never referred to you as a podmate. That's something I want to.
Isn't that cute?
Write that one
Yeah,
down.
Podmate.
Yeah, that's cute. Yeah.
Write that down.
I always say Mike, my co-host, but now I can say Mike, my
Oh, there you go.
podmate. Yeah.
There you go.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, it's been fun. You know, we wanted to try to create something that people can listen to that helps them understand wine a little bit more, much like your podcast. And it's honestly, we both love wine. We have a passion for wine, and we met in the service industry at Luzino, actually, and have been friends ever since. But you know, it's been a challenge for both of us because we love it. We love wine, but it's hard to simplify it, even if that's your goal. And it's even just hard recording a podcast. I can't believe you all do live every week. We edit a lot of stuff. That's hard.
Actually, we started. Mike approached me way back when I had the winery, and he said,
"Yeah,
let's do a podcast from here during one of your festivals." And I said, "Okay." So he came and set up actually out the back door away from everybody because the wind was blowing so hard that he was getting this wind blowing through his mic, and so he set up around back and did the podcast from there. And I'd step out and join him every once in a while, but after that he says, well, were you interested in a weekly thing? And so we went through a lot of trial and errors, and we still do. It seems like it just is never has ran completely smooth and easy the whole time, but we're on a couple, 3 different formats. Now we are on Facebook. Now we're on Blog Talk Radio, which has served us well for the last 10 years now. So
Yeah,
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, 11 years now. But every week we get out there and just have fun with it. We've had guests. We've had some great guests over the years. That's always been one of our favorite things is some of the guests we've had, and it's just fascinating. Some of the stories they have and some of the things they have to say, and
yeah, that's something we look forward to doing one day. We'd love to have some of our. We just did a bonus episode, actually, where we had some of our service industry friends come in, and that was a fun episode, just having other people on and being able to get another point of view and another perspective on things. It was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's it. I used to start out, I'd call up wineries, and I'd talk to them, interview them for a while on the phone, then I'd tell about them on the show. And Mike mentioned, well, maybe some of these people might like to come on the show instead of just talking to them. So I started to ask them, we got a show coming up, would you like to do it? And in this industry, it is absolutely amazing how many people love to talk about what they do. It is, people love to talk about their winery or their job in the wine business. And we've had so many people. We've had lawyers. We've had people from around the world, different countries that have been on over the years and stuff like that. And everybody likes to talk about what they do, and what makes what we do, on this program so easy, because I'll sit out there and say, well, tell me about your winery. And a half hour later, they say, okay. Then I ask one more question, and a half hour later, they're done. I mean, it's great.
That is
talk
fantastic.
about. So, yeah, it is. You'll find that too as you progress with your
I hope so.
with your podcast.
How often is your podcast?
So we just recorded our first season. We both are working full time, and Elena actually just found out she was pregnant a few months ago. So she's been doing that. So I know it's huge news. So we had to take a little break. She's in between jobs. Yeah. It's her first, so it's been so exciting. But we had this idea. It was like, okay, we'll get through season 1, and we actually found out she was pregnant right before we started recording. So she was like, well, now I'm not going to be able to drink on the podcast. Such a bummer. So bummed, because we like to incorporate tasting into some of our episodes, and so we kind of had to fake it, but that's okay. That's part of it, I suppose. but yeah, so we would record. We were recording in advance because we didn't trust ourselves to keep to a schedule, and a good thing we did because there were a few weeks we had to miss. And so we recorded, I think it was 11 episodes for season 1, and then those are all out now. And we're in the works. We're actually going to start recording for season 2 on Monday. So we're back in the swing of things. Yes, we're very excited. And so we'll record a bunch in advance again and release them every week. We like to release them on Wednesdays, and we'll release them weekly until season 2 is complete.
So how long are you looking at as a season? I mean, I noticed this first season here. I'm on your podcast page. Notice this first season here has got 15 episodes. That going to incorporate a season 2 yet?
Yes, I think we're looking at 13 for season 2. So we're going to do something a little different. Season 1, we focused on very popular varietals, and we focused each episode on a specific grape and kind of went into some history, what the grape is supposed to be like, where it comes from. We would taste a couple of wines of that grape, and then we incorporated some fun stuff like trivia and fun facts. So season 2, we're going to focus more on countries and regions, and then what wine grows and is produced there. So we're kind of taking the opposite end of the spectrum and trying to simplify as far as if you're looking for a certain country, what you can expect, what to buy, that kind of stuff. So we're excited. We're going to start with France. So we're going over a lot of French regions I think we're starting with Italy. I misspoke. Yes, I think we're starting with Italy. So we'll start there. And it's a huge, huge topic, but we're going to try to simplify it as best we can.
I did regions a few years ago. I say a few years ago. We've been on for 11 years now. 12. Oh wow. 13. I don't know. I lose track of it. Yeah, I lose track of how many seasons. But we spent a lot of time back, 7, 8 years ago or more. I guess it's been 9 years ago, about different regions around the world, and it was like 3-4 episodes for each region.
Yes.
I don't see how you're going to condense it into an episode. And your episodes aren't long either. I mean, you're not even an hour here. I'm looking at the time on these things. And,
we try to keep them around 45. So I think our grand plan is to have 2 parts per country. So we'll try red wine in part 1, white wine in part 2, and then we're going to try to just zip through and simplify. And precise.
Because there's so much. I try to do, a region or a country, and it's like,
no way.
Oh, well, no, you can't. Where do you concentrate on, and what? I mean, Italy, you can go from the boot all the way up to, and they're different everywhere. And same thing with France and Spain, and
well, hopefully we can do something. Stay tuned. That's been the biggest challenge for us, though, is really trying to simplify it down for the beginner wine drinker or the, someone who's trying to get into wine and figuring out where to start. I don't know. That has definitely been our biggest challenge, aside from learning how to listen to ourselves talk.
That's the thing. We never go back and listen to the shows and say, okay, well, let's cut this out. Let's do that. There's been some shows where we have cut
That's the
stuff
way to
out.
do it.
But basically,
I don't know.
We're live.
Yeah, I'd rather have them recorded, because there have been some shows where I just we need to take this out. He's had your laptop or whatever you're on.
We've got some stuff we've had to take out. Yeah.
But
it's funny too, because even we edit, and sometimes I listen back and I'm like, oh man, I wish I didn't say that. I wish we would have taken that out.
But honestly, I think the listeners want to hear that. Like on here, many times it's like an imperfection, and they want to hear that natural, without cut type of stuff. I mean,
you're right.
I don't know. I mean, if you could do live, gosh,
it's more relatable,
Yeah, and they kind of tune in, and
that's a good point.
That's a possible, but it'd be great if you could get some guest on from those other countries. I mean,
Right?
that
Yeah.
would be exciting. But there's so much out there.
Yeah.
And
We're definitely going to try.
Yeah.
and you can do it too. I mean, with the phone systems now and stuff like this, it's so easy. We talked to people from Australia. We've talked to a guy just landed in Bali one morning, and he was a guest on the show. We've talked to people all over the country here, and so you can always, find somebody in another country that would be willing. I mean, look up the wineries online and just pick up the phone and call them. I mean, it really is that simple.
We haven't even tried that, so hearing that it is that simple is nice.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's been a big challenge in our brains, but it might be a little easier than we think.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I just when I started to book different wineries from different states, and I would pick a state, and we were going through it alphabetically. And I would call the winery and I'd say, my name's Ron. I have a winery. I do a podcast called All About Wine every Thursday. I'd like to get you on the program. Would you be willing? And they go, I can't this week. How about next week? I mean, it wasn't like pulling teeth. It was just like, yeah, okay. We'll let you talk about your winery and stuff like that. And
sure. It doesn't hurt to ask. That's what I've always been told.
Well, there's some saying, no, I'd rather not and all that. But, and again, once you get them on, it's, you say, okay, I'm going to talk about this on the show, and then you get a guest on there, and the guest just starts running with it, and you're going, okay, well, so much for my ideas, what we're talking about, we'll just let the guest take it. And it works that way.
I think your biggest obstacle has been their reluctance is because they don't know what you're going to throw at them. And, a couple of them had said like, oh, I can only spend 15 minutes, and an hour and a half later, they're still, and that's fantastic,
gosh.
but I think
still talking,
I think they're nervous about being put on the spot. Like, that I think you've told me, Ron, a few times about that. And as long as you let them know, I'm not going to throw anything out there that's going to be embarrassing or throw you out like, you don't know something. It's a free flow thing, and you get all kinds of people responding to it. There's
I love it. It's
tons
really
of wineries out there.
Conversation, which is very cool.
And I tell people, we're just going to talk. I'm not going to try to any gotcha questions.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to put you in the corner and gotcha. It's just like, tell us about this. And people just, they tend to rely. I had one interview. I can't remember the winery. Pleasant young man. He was, I think he was the winemaker or something. But boy, I'll tell you what, everybody else, you say, well, what type of grapes you growing? And they would go on about the vineyard and the size of the vineyard and when they planted and all that stuff. But this young man, I said, what type of grapes you growing? He goes, Merlot, Cabernet, and Chardonnay. And that would be it. I mean, he would stop right there. And I go, okay, how many acres you have? 12, 10, and 3. Okay, and it was just like, oh my gosh, usually people just start running with the question, and he just answered the question, and that was it. And it was tough. That was one of the hardest interviews because I had to drag it out of him, but we found out everything. But we've talked to people who have organic vineyards. We've talked to people who have biodynamic vineyards. We've talked to people who there's a new certification out there. Help me out on this, Mike. What is this latest certification we've been?
SIP, SIP?
SIP, SIP, new certification. SIP certifications. We've talked to people who've had that, and it's fascinating the different things. So you got yourself so much. I mean, you can just start delving into and doing stuff here, and
that's so encouraging to hear. Because we are so new to the industry in general, and relatively speaking, and I've only been really into the wine business for 4.5, 5 years. So I feel like there's just so much opportunity and there's so much to know and learn. And I'm just at the beginning.
Never can learn it all, no matter what you do. It's just always, I pick up something and I go, oh my gosh, I never knew that. And this, like these new certifications are coming out now. These are
Right.
fascinating. I mean, it's
I have to look into that.
yeah, some of these it's to the point where not only do you have to have the vineyard and the winery and
Oh my gosh.
Did he cut out or did I?
your
Oh,
I don't know if you can.
just and, I mean,
Okay. Can you hear him?
are you guys there?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know
Yeah,
if
oh, there
I don't
you
know
are.
if Ron's
Okay,
here, but
okay. Maybe I cut out. I'm not sure.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
yeah, you
Yes, I can.
it cut
Okay.
out really bad there for a little bit, but okay. No,
Oh
everything's
wow.
fine here.
Yeah, before the show started, and that's another thing with live here too, Greg.
Yeah.
We do have situations like this
I
that
love
happen.
it.
Oh my.
I love it.
Yeah,
It's just what happens everyday life,
Yeah, we've had some episodes where right in the middle of the episode, it's just like
Yep.
I started hearing the guests and Mike go, Ron,
Yeah.
Ron, you there?
And then you hear
Oh,
you hear
no.
this. Yeah, until he comes back.
Yeah. Then we put the music on so we don't have dead air.
Always have to be
Yeah,
ready.
sound effects. That's wonderful.
Mike made up a perfect little board of sound effects, which
Yep.
we play with all the time. It's
That's so
great.
Yes.
We've got all sorts of things, like
Okay.
Oh no.
This is always a good one too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What is your
So
what is your website for the podcast? I didn't get that address.
The website is betterwithwinepod.com. And we try to keep our calendar updated. I don't know if it's quite updated right now with all of our episodes, and we'll let you know what we're drinking on the podcast, so you can
perfect.
drink with us if you like.
Oh wow.
And
Better
yeah,
be
betterwithwinepod.com.
dash.
No, it's
No,
all
it's
one word.
all
Dash.
one word.
All one word. Yeah, I get it now.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, all
I'm
one word.
looking. I'm on the podcast here, and it's showing dashes on it, but this is the Apple. Yeah, podcast.apple.com.
Oh, perfect.
Then US podcast and Better with Wine.
What?
So,
What are you on? I just went to betterwithwinepod.com. I don't know what you're talking about, US and something else. Oh wow.
Yeah, this is. Actually, I clicked on a link that
Season
was
one.
in
Yeah.
in her original. Let's see. This is
good.
Katie originally sent me this, and
Oh.
she had a link here that just said podcast, and so I clicked on podcast, and it came up to It's the site up at the top says podcast.apple.com /US/podcast/ better with wine.
Wow,
/
that's
and then an
way
ID.
different. That's
That's more complicated.
And that's all the episodes and everything is here, and a little. Actually, it's a synopsis of each episode, and it tells how long the show is, and really, and customer reviews. You've had
that's
one
different.
customer review who gave you a 5. All right.
Hey, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's nothing like what I'm saying. I'm on their website.
Yeah,
It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier than remembering that.
Really?
It's on our website, and you can listen to our episodes on the website as well, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, this says listen on Apple Podcasts. It gives you an opportunity here to listen and all this. I don't know. It was a link that Katie sent me that when she first contacted me about you, she sent me this link, and so yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. They'll both get you there, it looks like.
Wait a minute. I just clicked on one here, and we got ourselves a disclaimer here. Why do we have to have a disclaimer? It says,
Oh,
note,
my.
this episode is explicit. It contains language and content that may not be appropriate for listeners under 18 years old. Additionally, we do not condone drinking under the legal age limit. Wow. You guys cuss and say all sorts of bad words on there and everything?
We don't cuss. That was probably
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's...
How funny.
That...
Yes, I see it now. That's so funny. Yep, it must have been our special guest.
Oh. Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Oh well.
Well, good.
Well, if you need a guest, give me a call or send me an email.
Absolutely.
I would be happy to come on the show with you and talk about all about wine and what we've done for the years and stuff like that. And
we would
everything.
love that. I know you were a winemaker.
Yep.
Yeah. I had a winery here in Florida and closed it down. Wow, what, 5 years ago? Wow, a little over 5 years ago. And so, have that background on me and all that. But yeah, if at any time you are looking, what are we going to do this week type thing, then get in touch. And
it'd be a good way to test it too.
Thank you.
Good way to test your, connection with an outside guest, I guess. We've used
exactly.
That would be a perfect first time. Absolutely.
Skype. I think we did a few with Skype and the number, the call-in number.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, back to you.
And then, now that we're on Blog Talk Radio, we go through them. The reason we have you call in too is because Mike hooks up to Facebook and YouTube before the show, and it basically blocks him out of calling the guests. So we have the guests call us, and we get you on that way.
Yeah, we used to call.
I was wondering how it all worked. I was like, well, I'm just going to call, see what happens.
Yeah. He's Mike is my engineer. Not only is he my
I thought Kathy was the engineer.
Bud, is that it?
No.
No, Kathy's my engineer. But,
yes.
But Mike Close, but he's really the brain behind a lot of these things that is going on here. So.
So that's Elena. Elena is the one that handles all that on our end. I don't know how to even upload the podcast to people so people can listen.
What is
Mike?
What is
my Elena? Yeah.
What is Elena's connection to wine? I mean, you two met, in hospitality and at Luvino. Is she going into sommelier also? I think I'm pronouncing that right. Also, or is she just?
Yes. So she has achieved her level 1 certification, and I think she's going to go a different route. So she's going to take the what's it called? She's going to become a certified specialist of wine. She's going to achieve her CSW. So it's a little bit different. It doesn't include service. I think it includes tasting. It definitely includes a bunch of written exams. So she's going a different route because she's not in the restaurant industry anymore. She's more on the retail side of things.
Oh, okay.
So she loves wine, and it's fun because we have such different. I think we have very different taste in wine, and we, she knows a lot about this region where I might know a little bit more about this region. So it's not like we're on the same level with everything. So we can. It's nice to have it. We both have very different perspectives with wine, which I think is really fun.
Oh, good. That's awesome. Did you get your certifications here, or did you get them in France or some other place? I'm thinking because we had somebody say they took their certification in France or some other in Europe somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Is there a difference? And they go, wasn't there a difference, Ron? From what I remembered from that, they said there were. It's different taking it here versus in Europe. I didn't realize that. I thought it was a standard.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It is. Yeah, that's a good point because he did say that it was. It really doesn't transfer over the pond that easily because it's a different approach and everything. So Good point.
Wow.
That was a national.
That is, yeah, and
worldwide thing.
we're very lucky in Louisville where the exam actually comes here every other year, something like that. We have a master sommelier that lives in Louisville,
Oh,
and he
wow.
hosts the exam. So I didn't have to travel very far. Yeah, I feel very fortunate to have that. So we actually have quite a few sommeliers in Louisville that are all in the industry. A lot of them are sales reps, and some of them own their own wine bars. It's kind of a fun little community here, which is it's been a lot of fun to discover, honestly.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how many. That's an interesting point too. How many areas, how many cities have their cluster of sommeliers because of, just like you say, wine bars and distributors and sales and all that. You can get your first one or two levels a little bit easier. I mean, time you get to your third level, they're going, I'm not going to do that, and I'm happy with this. And I'm curious how many. There may be a lot of sommeliers out there. I mean, you hear about there's only X number of master sommeliers in the country or around the world, but the ones that have done the first and second steps, I'm sure there's quite a few more. So,
yes, I think so. Yeah, I mean, even in Louisville, there's probably 8 to 10 that I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah, we're just a little small. We're in Kentucky. We're not even in wine country, or New York City or Chicago. There's got to be thousands.
Yeah.
And I think it's a more popular thing than it was, maybe 10 or 20 years ago. I think it's becoming a more popular because the hospitality and restaurant industry is growing, and I think people realize it's something that's never going to go away, and it's evolving, and people are really starting to take it more seriously. So this is, just another aspect that you can achieve working in restaurants.
Excellent point too, because it gives you a little more creed, if you will, when you're when you're talking to people in your restaurant and stuff like that. When you have this sommelier, and people don't even have to know why or what it came from or what's involved. They just see that title, and I think it gives you, like I say, more creed there. It gives you a little bit more of a ability, so people look up and say, what do you recommend? You say this, and they go, okay, well then you're a sommelier, you must know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's funny too, because when I have a whole server staff, and all my new servers that are very new to wine, or even ones that have been there forever, and they get a guest that asks them a question or something, I always tell them, just say, hey, let me go get my sommelier, and then they're off the hook. It's like,
right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like I swoop in and everything's fine. But it's funny, we try to teach them as much as we can, and some of them even do pursue the certifications, and they all love wine at the end of the day. But it's a lot of knowledge and a lot of education for if you don't have the passion for it, or you don't care to advance or whatever. I'm always their backup plan, so it's nice having me around, I think, sometimes.
And that's true. And one of the things I used to do at the winery was I'd get a hold of restaurants that were doing wine and say, is your servers familiar enough to be able to serve this and talk about this a little bit? And a lot of restaurants did not. A lot of them didn't have a sommelier in there, and they were just relying on their waiters, waitresses, their wait staff, I should say. That's a better term. And I would go in and gather them all up and give them a half-hour, 45-minute course on just some very basics that, surprisingly, a lot of wait staff in areas that serve wine weren't familiar with. And it doesn't take much to educate them a little bit, but it makes a big difference when they're sitting there at the table and are standing there and saying, okay, I recommend this wine, and they know a little bit what they're talking about. And like I used to tell them too, not only does it help the restaurant, but it also helps your tip. So this is money in your pocket in the long run.
Yes, that's what I always tell them. I say, the more you know, the more money you're going to make here, because the more knowledgeable you are about our wine list, the more confidently you can recommend things and talk about them. And that's been a huge aspect of is really teaching our server. They go through a pretty intense wine training when they start on as a server, and some people come from no wine knowledge at all to some people have a little bit, But yeah, that's amazing that you would do that. That's some of the best times I have with my staff is when, you know, a wine rep or someone comes in to teach their product, to teach about what they're selling so we can sell it better. It's invaluable. It's perfect. It's priceless. Yeah.
And that's always a good thing. A lot of your distributors will do that too. They'll talk about the wines that they're selling to the restaurant and try to promote it.
Cut out again.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Mike, isn't Joy Neighbors up in that area? Isn't she around Indianapolis or?
I believe so. I thought she's. I got to look that up because I thought she moved to that area. Let me check real quick. Anyway.
Yeah. The reason I'm saying this, Gracie, we have a guest that has been on, I don't know, over the years. She has popped up in a recurring guest, and she
cutting out again.
She had a blog, Joy's Joy of Wine. Am I?
Just for a minute, yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, she had a blog called Joy's Joy of Wine, and we got her on. We discussed about that. But she also is big into, and she has a blog called A Grave Interest about cemeteries and gravestones and all that. And she's been a guest on the show. Yeah, it's a cool blog. It really is. She describes some of the grave markers and stuff and what they mean and all that. She has a book out now about that. But she is into ghosts and being haunted and stuff. And every October we try to get her on the show and we talk about ghosts. And she lives in that area.
Okay.
Not exactly sure.
As of October last year, she's working at a distillery in Louisville, Kentucky. So no.
Which one?
I have to read this. No, I don't think I wrote that part down, but
I don't think she mentioned distillery, but I don't think she said which one. Joy Neighbors.
Joy Neighbors. Yeah.
Joy Neighbors is her name. Neighbors just like no special spelling, but Joy Neighbors. And but she's very knowledgeable on wine. She does. She had her podcast. She talked, or not podcast. It was a blog. Not a podcast. A blog.
Yeah.
That she wrote, and then her blog on A Grave Interest. She still does that too, and she wrote a book about graveyards and stuff. But very fun guest.
That is so cool.
Yeah, talked about.
How funny that she's in Louisville.
Yeah,
it is.
I knew she was up in that area there.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll have to come see us at Louisiana.
Yeah, really.
She's probably been, honestly, if she loves wine.
She could have.
Yeah, she does. She's a big wine drinker, but there's haunted places up in Louisville and stuff like that she's told us about. And so. But yeah, it just dawned on me she was in that area, and I couldn't remember if it was Indianapolis or I didn't realize it was Louisville that she was.
That is so cool.
So there's somebody else in your area there that you're looking for.
I'll have to seek her out.
Yeah, looking for a guest. She's always up to be a guest. I mean, she's
absolutely
always been a good guest for us on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's
but
awesome.
yeah. So, well, Mike, any other questions, anything for Gracie here before we let her get back to work? Actually, you probably do have to go back to work, don't you?
Actually, I got the early night today, so we do lunch. So I did the lunch shift today and stayed through for a little bit of dinner service. And I let my team handle the rest of the night. So
there you go. Okay. So you're not throwing back into work. But Mike, I'm sorry, you had.
No, I'm good. I think I this has been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to listen to season 1 here. I've got the page loaded.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Me too.
Yes.
I've got it in front of me. I'm gonna listen to it also. This is be interesting to see, some of the stuff here, and we'll mention it every once in a while on the show too. I mean, as we go through, we don't mind promoting. Yeah. Promoting some of our guests. We've had guests on that have written books and that have all sorts of stuff out there, movies, and
well,
wine
likewise,
movies.
I'll have to let everyone know that I got to be on a super long-standing wine podcast. I can't believe I was able to come talk to you guys. It's such an honor.
Like I say, it's honors ours to find somebody that's gone out there and jumping into it with both feet like you are, and the podcast and the wine and all that. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
And
I can only aspire to have a podcast running as long as you do. That's big goals for us. I hope we can make it happen.
I'll tell you what. Look forward to some of the glitches and things like that happen too. Well, you might not have as many since you record and then post as we do when we do live.
I don't know. Maybe we convinced her to go live. Maybe we convinced her to go live.
Yeah. That's
Take a chance.
Just kick it on live. Just let it go.
Yeah, that's right.
Turn on the tape and let it go.
That's right. Well,
so
we might have to try a live episode, see how it goes. Could be really interesting.
It could be fun. Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, again, Grace, if you ever need, you want to get in touch, I'll be more than happy to appear and.
Thank you, Ron. That's fantastic. I will probably take you up on that.
Yeah, I don't mind at all. I just pretty much, can jump in there anytime. And thank you so much for being on the show tonight. Best of luck with the restaurants. It seems like times are turning around, so it's going to improve, and the restaurant's going to really take off now. And really best of luck with your podcast, Jerry. It's something that is always fun and exciting, and there's been weeks where we get on there and we go, oh, what are we going to talk about this week? And then an hour and 10 minutes later, we go, okay, I guess that's the show. I mean, it just flows. Yeah, it just flows. And so you'll do that
thank you.
too.
Thank you for all the warm wishes. We appreciate it. I know everyone running restaurants right now, I hope, is feeling the same way. So, and the podcast, keep listening. We'll hopefully, season 2 hopefully hits sometime in August. That's our grand plan. But
awesome.
I can't thank you both enough for having me.
Thank you.
It's been so fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. And do we know if it's going to be a boy or a girl for Elena yet?
I don't know. They're keeping it a secret.
Are they?
They are. They know, but they're keeping it a secret. So we won't know.
Oh, my gosh.
Until they make their arrival. I was wondering if that was coming out. Perfect.
All right.
And I have to ask again, so I be sure. A pod bud, is that the
what?
No, pod mate.
Oh, pod mate.
Okay,
oh,
pod mate.
Okay. Yeah, pod mate. Okay. I never heard that.
Pod mate.
Pod mate.
I never heard that either. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Maybe it's a term I made up. I'm not quite sure.
Coined a phrase.
I'll coin it. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect.
And then we tell people, Mike's my pod mate, and we'll get this little sly look and a wink or two. And
you're like, what?
Yeah, really.
Well,
all right, Gracie. Thank you very much. Have yourself a wonderful evening, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Absolutely.
I can't wait. You all have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You also. Thank you.
Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, bye now.
I just disconnected there for. I thought I was heard a clicking sound on there. Okay, it's 8:02 p.m. Eastern Time. I was just looking at the freethegrapes.org, which we've had on the show as well.
Oh.
And Kentucky was the 46th state to allow winery direct shipments, and Alabama, this was a shock, became the 47th state to allow winery direct shipping.
Wow, Alabama?
Just the fact that they allow wine in Alabama, and outside of Auburn, or what's the big university? Is it Auburn University? Yeah, that they actually allow
Auburn, yeah.
alcohol. I'm sure they partied even when there was major restrictions. Anyway,
sure.
And then
Yeah.
Tennessee, the shipments continue with favorable compromise. So it sounds like it's still some restrictions, or you can if you do this or something. And then New Jersey and Louisiana are the holdouts. So they're still not.
Even Utah is shipping. Well, that surprised me.
I don't
Utah's
see.
usually.
They're not on. Excuse me. They're not on the list. So.
Wow.
That's on the front of their site.
Utah is usually.
Utah.
I mean, they're so tight.
Oh yeah, Utah is prohibited, but it's not on the front of the page though. That's interesting. Because on the front of the page it says, let's take action. I guess they gave up on Utah, but
they may have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so many restrictions, and their curtain, their Zion curtain, and all that stuff.
Alabama is going to allow direct shipping as of August of this year. So there's that one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's something. That really is something.
That's a major move.
Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for pulling up. The Free the Grapes. I see it, and I get emails and all that, and I keep on wanting to mention Free the Grapes, and I forget about it. So I'm glad you pulled that up, and all of you listeners out there, freethegrapes.org.
Yeah.
Very great site. Great site. It's in fact, the president of freethegrapes.org has always said that he's working to get himself out of a job. Once every state does some free shipping, not free, but unrestricted shipping,
right? Then
he's going to be out of a job, and he's working for that. He's doing a great job so far. Look at that. I mean, it just Alabama and Kentucky. Oh my gosh, that's
very good stuff there. So I was looking at that because I remembered, she was in Kentucky, and but they don't make wine. They they just serve it with the restaurant. So
right.
So I didn't.
There's a lot of nice wineries in Kentucky. There really are. I mean, there's some beautiful wineries in Kentucky, and it's true. Every winery you walk into in Kentucky, they go, "Hi, welcome to such and such a winery. We used to be a tobacco farm." And, I mean, it's just like that's their. I think it's part of the Kentucky legislature greeting that you have to do if you're a winery. I mean, it's just everybody greeted us that way. Everybody. We used to be a tobacco farm. Now we're a winery.
You can see a state inspector coming around. State inspector in Kentucky coming around there, and what else do you have to say? Oh, that's right. We used to be.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's just everyone we went into said that, and there were some beautiful wineries there too. I mean, some gorgeous places. And if I remember, a lot of them had restaurants. Or was that in Ohio? Ohio wineries. A lot of them had restaurants in it. I guess it was Ohio.
You still there?
Ooh. Yeah.
Okay.
Am I gone?
You popped out for a second, and then you came back all sped up, and here we are. So you're back now, I think.
I wonder why that is doing that. That is weird. Yeah.
It's our usual culprit.
It's our usual, our usual thing. Well,
anyway, thank you to Gracie. Thank you to Gracie, who came on and spent some time with us, from Luvino, with 5 locations. 5
locations. Yeah.
Fantastic. Look for it in your area. Luvino.
And they opened them all up right before COVID hit, too. I mean, and that was scary timing.
Yeah,
and Gracie's got her website too, her podcast rather.
Yep.
Better with Wine. So,
Pod.
Check that out.
Yeah. Betterwithwinepod.com. Check it out. Gonna have to listen to it and see how.
On Apple, it looks like.
Well, yeah, See, that's just it. She doesn't know the reach she has. She's thinking, we're just recording it for the website. Next thing you know, you're like, oh, we're on iTunes, we're on Apple, we're on TuneIn, we're on all these other formats.
And before you know it, you're one of the top 10 podcasts in Mongolia. I mean, it just happens that way.
You're like, I didn't know.
I didn't.
You wait, Gracie. It's coming. Yeah, that's going to be fantastic when she comes up there. Oh, that's going to be great.
Gosh, we just got rated. We just got rated as one of the best food broadcasts in Croatia. Look at this. Yeah,
that's going to be good. Best of luck, and hope it happens because it's very exciting. So
hope
just
it
getting
happens.
started.
Hope it did,
Yep, very good.
Exciting stuff.
We will return next Thursday.
We may have a guest next week.
Oh,
I say we may have a guest. I am in negotiations, if that's the proper word. No, it isn't. But let me find him here. I can't find him. But we may have a guest. I received an email. Now, this is a weird thing, too. I received an email, and it disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. I really don't. I know I didn't wipe it out because whenever I get one with a guest, I protect it. But I received an email, and it disappeared. And then I got another email back saying, this is so-and-so following up because, we haven't heard on the others. And it was like, oh, my gosh, thank you for contacting me again. I don't know what happened to it. But she's has two guests that they have, and where is it? It's not coming up here.
It's self-deleted
because
it timed out. Expired email just disappears.
After 90 days. No, what? This is not. Well, for some reason, this isn't coming.
No, we'll tell them.
Showing me
on social media or something.
Yeah,
as soon as I find out.
Here we go. Maybe this is. Okay, here we go. Alicia contacted me, and this is for Thatcher. The name is Thatcher, and it says Thursday, May the 27th, which is next week. So it looks like we'll have a guest next week, Thatcher, and let me see if I can tell you a little bit more about him to pique your interest. Thatcher Baker Briggs is a 29-year-old sommelier wine industry. Thatcher is well known for parlaying his stints at elite restaurants, including Tokyo's Takazawa and Sassoon in San Francisco, into his own private wine consultancy, where he procures the rarest vintages and then find all the and athletes. He started in Canada at age 13 and working his way up to job picking bottles for the NBA. Thatcher's story and unique perspective as a rising BIPOC sommelier who is working to close the gap in the wine industry would be timely and a welcome subject matter for the show. So
perfect.
That's who is going to be on next week.
All righty. We'll look forward to it.
Really. They contacted me. I said, yes, yay, let's do this. And I gave her the information. Alicia is our contact. A lot of these people have publicists. I'm finding out. We've talked to a lot of people in the business that have publicists to try to get their names and all that out there.
Well, you have a publicist, don't you?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I have my publicist, and also William Shatner to read my books.
And, absolutely. There you go. Yeah. Shatner. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember that. Well,
Yeah.
we'll have our guest next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on
Right.
Blog Talk Radio and Facebook, and I guess it looks like YouTube went the distance with us. So
And
maybe
YouTube.
we'll do this on YouTube
All right.
again next week. So look like it worked out.
Sounds good.
I can't wait to figure out what the channel is, how to get to it. But it was on there.
Yeah. This
no
will be
idea.
fun. I know. You know, I'll listen to Gracie's podcast and then spend the next 5 days trying to find out where we are on YouTube.
Yes, that's it. By next week, I should know. So we'll figure that out. So thank you all for tuning in. It's almost 8:14, and we will see you all next week.
Yeah.
Have a great week and a safe weekend.
Thank you all for listening.
Yep.
Be safe. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. This concludes
tonight's broadcast of All About Wine with your
All
host,
About
Ron.
Wine.
For show information, links to All About Wine on Twitter and Facebook, or to be a guest on this show, visit the show website at www.allaboutwinebtr.com. Archive shows are available for download on iTunes or on our show page at blogtalkradio.com/allaboutwine.
Yep.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time on All About Wine.